had got to a place that I was so connected to people. Like I was so, like my faith was getting stronger and stronger every day. And like I said, I got there in November. Around in July, I think I was around 20 weeks at that time. I can't recall right now, but right when everything was happening, like the word champion had came to my heart. Like, and then weeks before that, and I'll insert some like pictures and stuff to show you guys what I was writing in my notes. Like in July, champion, acceptance, and faith had came. And I remember at some point I was just so sick and angry, and I was like, my Aunt Mary, like she's my everything. Like I would text her or call my mom, text my mom, and like tell them like how angry I am. Like, you know, everybody, you know, at our wedding, oh, you're gonna be pregnant on your honeymoon, you're gonna be pregnant on your honeymoon. And I used to be so aggravated, like, no I'm not, you know, like I'm gonna plan my son out the same way I planned out my daughter. Like this, I want to enjoy my husband first. So I just felt like it was everybody's fault. Like people putting their mouth out, you know, putting their mouth on people. Like, you don't know what I want for myself while you're telling me, oh, I'm gonna be pregnant, this and that and third. So it's like I'm literally suffering, I'm literally dying, and I can only think about everybody saying, oh, you're gonna be pregnant on your honeymoon, like couldn't even get fully married yet. So it was just like, you know, a whirlwind of emotions. And my aunt kept saying, like, you know, until you break, like God's gonna keep breaking you and keep breaking you until you get into a place of faith. And it was just like, I'm like bucking, like, you know, I'm over this, I'm over that, like as if I could choose my life, as if I was in control of my life. Like, who am I don't know who I thought I was at that time, but that's exactly what I was going through. So it was just a matter of time before, you know, God was like, you know what, I'm gonna continue to work with you. So let's go back. I asked God to humble me. I felt like, you know, he already took my finances, my health was already declining, like I was being humble. I asked God to strengthen my faith. In the midst of me praying for my son, praying for myself, it was like God had to show me, like, you gotta trust me no matter what. And then it was like trust. I had to trust in God. Not only did I have to not only did I have to faith it, I had to trust God. Like I had to trust that he was gonna do exactly what I was praying for, that I was believing in. Like I had to trust God. And then I asked God to bring me back to a place where, you know, I was serving purpose. And here I am at the Ronald McDonald house. I'm praying for other people. Like I'm having faith for them, renewing their faith. You know, praying for their babies. Praying, like, you know, they were getting bad news. Oh, you know, this is November. Oh, your baby not gonna be home before the new year, before this, before that. And I'll be speaking like to them, like, no, that's over with. They'll be home before New Year's. They'll be home before Christmas. This and that and the third. Like praying. I mean, I remember one of my closest friends who was there at the Ronald McDonald house, that we really got so close, still close to this day. Her baby coded every day, and I used to be like, dang, like how does she have the strength to get through this? Like we can literally sit there and be eating lunch, and it was just like her baby coded, she gotta go. Like it was a normal thing. She coded for 45 days straight, every single day. And the road's still not easy right now, but this is like when I was there back in November, and it was kind of like, you know, how, like, yes, I'm going through it, I'm pregnant, and I thought that my worst was worse, but at this point, like, she got it, like, she got it. And that's where I was at. Like I was literally, I didn't really realize that God was answering my prayers in the midst of me going through. August 16, 2022 at 11:37 p.m. I wrote in my pregnancy diary, 20 weeks, 5 days. Today had to be the worst day of my life, but after Auntie Rose and Granddad prayed, and also after I prayed, I feel so much better. So grateful for my husband. He's been so supportive and full of strength today. Words I keep hearing from God are champion, grateful, acceptance. Let it go and let it be, for God's will is perfect. I'm currently home in the tub soaking. I'm going to be back at it tomorrow. I'm going to keep moving forward. Dear God, please cover my son. I used to take to my notes as a diary just because, of course, timestamps and everything. At that time, I did not know fully of my son's CDH diagnosis or anything. I just knew that, you know, I chose to fight and not flight. And at this time, I was really faithing it. Like, I was faithing it. I was praying, like, God literally brought me to my knees. I was praying so much to the point where, like, when I did get his CDH diagnosis, I never shed a tear. I never was really sad about it. I know a lot of days I would literally be in here like feeling like today's the last day for me, and I would just, you know, tell God, like, I'm tired, Lord, I'm tired, and, you know, not really think nothing of it. But grateful gratefulness. Like, I mean, acceptance. I had accepted my son. I had not accepted what was going on just yet. I just knew that. So as time progressed and I did get his diagnosis and all that stuff, I was in a place of acceptance. Like, okay, this is what it is. I don't want to know anything else. Like, I'm good. Also, God had before, like years before, like a couple years ago, I said if I have a son, I'm gonna name him Champ. Not Champion, Champ. That's it. That's gonna be his nickname. Is gonna be Champ, regardless of what his name is. We're gonna call him Champ. So when Champion came to me that day, I'm like, Champion? I mean, I'm calling him Champ, not Champion. However, I'm going to post some of these inside of, so that you guys can see. When I looked up the word champion in the Bible, because nothing was making sense of like where champion came from. So I looked up the word champion in the Bible, and this was like one of like my bad days. And I screenshotted what champion meant in the Bible. So this was August 18, 2022. When I searched champion in the Bible app, this is what I got. A few of them. I cannot go over all these scriptures. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an unexpected end. Now, mind you, this is my favorite scripture. I actually have this scripture on my graduation cap from 2019. Like, Jeremiah 29:11 is always my favorite scripture. However, I always see the ending as thoughts of peace. Well, no, it always say, for I know the plans I have for you, said the Lord, the plans to prosper you and not harm you and give you hope for a future. This time, I got it in a different way. For I know the thoughts I think toward you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So I'm like, okay. Then Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. Psalms 27:4. One thing that I have desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord the days of my life. Joshua 1:9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee. These are things I got in August. I did not get my son's full diagnosis until October. So God was literally preparing a place before me. He was preparing the table before me. He was preparing everything that I was about to go through before me. This time is when I text my husband, like, if you ever have to choose me. Not knowing anything's about to happen to me, not even thinking nothing of it, just saying it because I don't know. I just randomly text him. And some more scriptures I have. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Also, during that time, I decided to fast. I went on a little fast for a week, and God had sent me to read the book of Job in the Bible. If you know the book of Job, then you know, like, Job went through a lot of stuff, and he did not curse God. Even though he got weary, even though things got rough, he had to sacrifice his son. His cattle got took, and that was pretty much their money and their finances. His health, everything that I was going through, Job had went through, and it was like I literally I can go through like each of my summaries of each chapter, at another time. However, like how I was summarizing every chapter was how I was feeling in the end of things, not as I'm going through them. It was just how I perceived each chapter to be. So I would literally read the chapter, and then I would literally paraphrase, okay, Job was going through this, or like talking to myself. For example, let me just go to one of these, because like, y'all gotta know how serious God is. On 7/13/2022, I got the scripture, cast your cares and burdens upon the Lord, and may God have mercy on us. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, July 4th, 2022. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Hebrews chapter 11 tells us what it means to have faith and obtain life. Those with true faith accepts God's words, focusing on assurance about what we have. I didn't even finish it. Hebrews chapter 6 warns to discourage believers to be mature in their faith and depend on God. July 13th, 2022 at 6:48 a.m. I got Psalms 57. Pretty much I got from that chapter, praising God while in the cave, having anxiety and fear, but knowing God will bring you out. Like, these are the things that I pretty much wrote down while I was going through. Not thinking, like I said, not thinking nothing of it, not thinking when I would need it. Me just feeling like, you know, I'm going through what I'm going through, however. And if you're watching this episode, please make sure you watch the last all the way through, because this won't make sense now, but it's going to make sense in the end. Okay, for example, on August 17, 2022, I read chapters 1 through 3. And what I got from it, first, God took his hands off his business and how he fed his family. God allowed his body to be sick and suffer, and he didn't curse God. Job cried out, asking pretty much why was he born. Chapter 4, I put, you've helped so many people with your words, but now trouble comes your way and you're discouraged. Do you trust the same God you encourage others with? This is me paraphrasing, like not knowing I would be needing this later. This is me paraphrasing what I'm reading. This is all of this happened in August. This was my August fast in 2022. Chapter 5, lay your cares upon God and he will handle it. Chapter 6, Job replied, weigh out my burdens. Don't you see that they are heavy? What do I have to look forward to? You have taken your hands off me. Chapter 7, like I'm pretty much saying, like, you know, like, God, am I your target? And then you know, like people, prophets and stuff was coming to Job telling him, like, you know, who are you for God to be bullying, pretty much. And pretty much the same mouth you're speaking with, the same mouth you're cursing with, like you're cursing yourself. Okay, all that to say, because I will have Bible study in this piece. All that to say, everything that was going on at that time, I was literally like all over the place. Like I was absolutely done. God had literally brought me down to my knees, and I just kept like like I said, every other week I'm like, you know, I'm tired. Like I'm tired. So November 27th was my husband's birthday, and the baby's always like, my son's name, we call him Champ. So Champ was always up in the middle of the night. So I would like not really expect him to move all day, but I would know he was gonna move all night. My induction had ended up getting pushed up to December 6th, which is what I wanted, because I'm like, all right, boom, it's December 27th, and in a few more, like a little over a week, I'll be having my son and life will begin. About 3 in the morning, my stomach was moving. Like Champ was moving, like my husband like touch his stomach and he'll respond, pretty much telling his daddy happy birthday at this point. So my husband went back home that night. So his birthday, he went back home, and then the next day Tuss was gonna have to go back to school, so she went with him because his birthday was on that Sunday. That was November 27th, 2022. I had been back on Facebook making statuses, encouraging, just going all out the way. I had been using the hashtag champion, not knowing what champion meant. You know what I'm saying? Like I kept like, you know, champion is champion. That I would always put capital champ and then ION. So it was kind of like there's no champion without champ, right? So I remember I made a status on November 27th, and I will insert it for you to see. I put a status and I said, life can change in the blink of an eye, so live and enjoy every single moment. Champion. November 28th, so throughout that night, I had a dream that I seen Champ. So I literally looked at him and I'm like, dude, you look just like your sister. Like no ECMO, no life support, no tubes down your throat, nothing. And ECMO, if you don't know, you can go look it up. It's the highest, pretty much it's a heart and lung bypass, and it's the highest form of life support anyway. So it was projected my son was going to have 75% chance of needing ECMO. There's a lot of risk that comes with ECMO. Yes, it can save your life, but it can also ruin your life. He could come out perfectly fine and have brain damage or all kinds of things from ECMO. So it's risky. It's benefits and there's risk to anything. So in the dream, I was saying to my son, like, you know, you look just like your sister, all this stuff. So I woke up, I went to my appointment. It was at 9:15. 9:45 my appointment. I noticed that the doctor kept going over my stomach, going over where his heart was at, this and that and the third. And she did the profile. Mind you, the week before that he was breech. So I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm at 35 weeks in a couple days. So I'm like, okay, at this point, hopefully within the last week, because I was going to appointments every week at that point, I'm like, you know, hopefully he turned back. So when I seen, you know, the first thing she did was see his position. He was cephalic. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, he's back head down, because I had been praying for that. I had been talking to him like, you know, turn. He had so much extra fluid, so he had more room than the average baby at that gestational age to move around. So he was able to move. So I seen that he was head down. I'm like, Lord, thank you. Like, I just prayed for this. Like, thank you. So she kept going over them. She kept going over like the heart area, and I noticed that she just was really frantic. So she was like, she was calm as day. She was like, hey, do you want to sit up real quick? I need to go get a doctor. So I typed in my notes and I put, she doesn't see a heartbeat. My mom had took me, because I could no longer drive, so she had took me to the hospital, or you know, the maternal fetal medicine high risk doctor down in St. Petersburg, which was kind of like 5 minutes away from the Ronald McDonald house we were at. So my mom was downstairs. The doctor comes in, and also my liaison comes in, and the doctor tries to pretty much find my son's heart, and she did not. So I remember, sorry y'all, it's just one of those things that I just can't never get out of my head. I remember she looked at me and said, I have bad news. There's no heartbeat. The baby has passed away. For me, she said it this fast. I have bad news. The baby has no heartbeat. The baby has passed away. Literally within a second, maybe a second and a half. To me, it was like over seconds. My brain was so into like fight mode that I literally was not. I was literally trying to fill in blank spaces. For example, when she said I have bad news, my brain said, okay, boom. You know, he might be, you know, whatever, but we're gonna have to go to the hospital real quick. So boom. She said, the baby, I don't see the baby heartbeat. I'm like, okay, boom, he probably in distress. I'm gonna go to the hospital, it's right across the street. They finna induce me, that's what it's gonna be. When she said the baby has passed away, my brain did some type of like flop. Like, I could tell you that both sides of my brain probably switched and did some type of cross, like crisscross, like crossed. I was so numb. I was so numb to the fact that my husband's birthday was just yesterday. He just left. He's now back home. My daughter just left. She just left and told me, Mommy, I can't wait to see my brother. My mom is also downstairs. They're asking me, like, is anybody there with you? Is anybody here? I'm like, my mom's downstairs, but you cannot tell her this. Please just have her come up here, because oh, y'all gotta bear with me. Just have her come up here, because she can't get that news downstairs. So I literally, like, I'm crying, but I'm not making no noise. I'm just crying, but there's no water. I was so in shock. I think that I immediately went into a state of shock. So my liaison, Jackie, she was literally hugging me, you know, like, she's so sorry, this, that, and third. I'm so confused. I couldn't even look down at my stomach to know that I'm this big and my baby is in my body and he's not alive. My mom came in there. They told my mom that, I mean, literally, she literally, no. Like, that's all she could really say. When my mom embraced me, like, that's when it's like the tears released from my eyes. Like, I was in so shock. I was so heartbroken. I can't even tell y'all how it really felt. I can't tell anybody how it felt. You know, so I was calling my husband. He wasn't answering. He's a heavy sleeper. So I texted my neighbor, or called her, and I had to tell her what was going on so she can come to my house. I can unlock my door, you know, remotely, and she can come up with my husband. The perks of having great neighbors. She came, she knocked on the door, but I guess my mother-in-law was here, and I did not know that, because, you know, she gets my daughter back and forth to school. Then she lives an hour away from our home and my daughter's school, so she pretty much had came over after dropping my daughter off. So I guess when the neighbor had came, so I know, all I know is we got a phone call from my mother-in-law. And she's like, what's going on? And at that time we told her, because we thought like she's home and we need to tell as many people as we can before I literally black out. Not knowing she was home with my husband. So my husband he didn't even know she was here. downstairs, none of that. So my mom had talked to my husband on her phone, was like, you know, son, just get down here, get down here. He's like, what's going on? He's thinking I'm in labor. She's like, just get down here. So he's getting up and getting dressed, not knowing his mom downstairs, and she knows exactly what's going on. And at this point, it was like, okay, so I guess she went upstairs to tell him, like, you know, sit down, she didn't talk to him, but all he knows is my wife is in labor, I gotta go. So he calls us back, and he's like, what's going on? Like, if anybody that knows my husband, he's very soft-spoken, very chill, relaxed, laid back. He's like on the phone yelling, like, what's going on? Like, my mom's not telling me anything. What is going on? Like, what is going on? So I was like, my mom looking at me like, should I tell him? Like, we literally trying to be quiet, not cry loud or whatever, because we want him to get down here safely. You know, that's a 2-hour drive. So I was like, you know, go ahead and tell him. So as soon as my mom told him, all I hear is throwing up. Oh my God, I was just there. I just love what happened. Like, my husband is screaming, crying, screaming, throwing up, screaming, crying. And I literally just broke. I lost it. Like, because this is my shrimp. This is he's my everything. And it's like my everything. I've never seen him not tough, strong. You know, he's 6'5". You know what I'm saying? He is tough. He's a tough guy. And I literally could not handle it. So me and my mom, you know, we trying to think of everybody to call, text. I called my aunt, which is my apostle, told her first. She lives with my grandparents, so they were able to kind of say everything at the same time. And it was like, okay, they literally told us, you know, you can wait as long as you want or whatever, you know, or you can come back tomorrow and meet us at the hospital. We can introduce you tomorrow. Me, like, my son is gone inside me. I mean, there's no point. I don't even know what's going to happen. I don't want to feel him like rocking in the water because there's so much extra space that I literally, whatever. So I had noticed that the top of my stomach, when I finally looked down, was hard, as if he had floated to the top of my stomach. So it was like I could feel his body. I'm trying to stay mentally sane. Pretty much everybody came down. My husband, everybody got there. They got my daughter from school. I had to literally tell my daughter that her brother was gone. She couldn't really understand at first. She's 4. However, she understood, but she was kind of in and out of reality. So all my family come down to St. Petersburg. At about 5 o'clock, we went to the hospital. I literally, when I got there, I think I was like 2-3 centimeters, something like that. Maybe 2 or 3. And I wanted epidural right away because I just didn't want to feel anything, not pain, not anything. Excuse me. So I got epidural right away. And that was probably, by the time I really got in there and all of that, it was probably like 8 o'clock once everything got situated. Then they started my induction at 10 p.m. where they inserted the pills. They inserted more pills at about 2 a.m. ish. And I could, like, I was in a position in bed that I could feel like, I could still feel contractions. So I was asking for like Bolaces, which is a lot of epidural at one time, to, like, you know, get me going, because they only gave me kind of like a little dose because I wasn't really in pain. I just didn't want to feel. So I mean, throughout this whole time, I'm literally in there warfare, and like, I'm crying, but I'm praying, I'm faithing it. Like, people praying for me, I'm covering my husband, I'm praying for him. Like, it was literally, I could literally feel God in this place. Like, the strength that I had that day, it was only the strength of God. Fast forward, I had my son at 9:32 a.m. on November 29, 2022. 2 days after his dad's birthday. 2 days before his grandfather's birthday, who passed away, my dad's husband. And also 8 days before our induction day. My son was 5 pounds, 12 ounces. I think he was like 15 inches, and I was 35 weeks and 3 days. So he was going to be a big boy. Even with all the issues that he had going on, like, even with the CDH, that's really all he had. CDH, and he did not have a nose bone all the way to the end. And when he came out, I literally, they had him in the closet over there where the bed was up, stuff, and all of that. And they asked me if I wanted to hold him and stuff. I did not want to hold him. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, at that point, I didn't really know anything. I just didn't want to see him right away. I was literally trying to stay sane. It took me about an hour before I allowed, you know, I told them, like, you know, bring him a little bit, like, when they pretty much,